You're standing at a party. Music is playing. People are laughing. There are bodies everywhere. But you feel completely alone. A wall of glass seems to separate you from everyone else. Your chest feels hollow. You pull out your phone just to look busy. You've felt this before. Everyone has. But the real answer as to why is far stranger than simple shyness or social anxiety. Your loneliness in that crowded room is not a malfunction. It is a survival mechanism. It is an ancient alarm system that was built millions of years ago, screaming at you in a language your conscious mind can barely translate. And once you understand where that feeling comes from, you will never look at a crowded room the same way again. To understand modern loneliness, you have to strip away the city. Strip away the smartphone. Strip away the lights and the noise. Go back 300,000 years. You're standing on the savannah. The grass is tall and golden. The sky is huge. And there are only about 150 people you will ever see in your entire life. Not 150 friends. That is everyone. That is the maximum number of stable social relationships your brain can manage. A cognitive psychologist named Robin Dunbar studied non-human primates and found a direct correlation between the size of a species' neocortex and the size of its social group. He applied this math to the human brain and landed on a number, 150. That is your tribe. That is the population of your entire known universe. In that tribe of 150, everyone knows your name. They know your parents. They know what you ate yesterday. If you didn't show up in the morning, someone would come looking for you. Being alone in this world wasn't just sad. It was a death sentence. Separation from the tribe meant the jaws of a predator in the dark. It meant no one to watch your back while you slept. It meant starvation. Evolution did not need to teach you how to be happy. It needed to teach you how to survive. And the fastest way to ensure survival was to make the feeling of social exclusion physically painful. There's a piece of software running in your head right now. It is the anterior cingulate cortex. A mouthful. But think of it as the physical alarm bell of your body. When you stub your toe, this part of your brain lights up. That makes sense. Pain tells you to stop doing the thing that hurts. But the neuroscientist Naomi Eisenberger designed an experiment at UCLA that turned our understanding of loneliness upside down. She put people in an fMRI machine and had them play a simple virtual ball tossing game. It was called Cyberball. At first, the participant plays catch with two other on-screen characters. Then, the two characters stop passing the ball to them. They just play with each other. The participant is left out. They are excluded from a game with two strangers they will never meet. This is the smallest possible social wound. And yet, their anterior cingulate cortex screamed. The exact same neural circuitry that registers a broken bone registered a broken heart. Your brain does not distinguish between physical pain and the pain of being ignored. Why? Because that stupid ball-tossing game in the lab tricked a piece of machinery that was built for the savannah. In the ancestral environment, if the two people in front of you stopped talking to you, you were being excommunicated. You were being pushed to the edge of the campfire. You were about to be eaten by a hyena. Your brain still runs the software. It doesn't know about Uber. It doesn't know you can order pizza alone at 3 a.m. It thinks that being left out is the final warning before death. So, when you are standing in that crowded party, watching groups of people chat while you lean against the wall, your ancient survival system activates. It reads the room not as a party, but as a threat assessment zone. Here is where the paradox tightens its grip. You have 500 friends on Instagram. You have 1,000 followers on TikTok. You live in a city of 10 million people. You are never technically alone. But your brain is not counting likes. It is counting the depth of the gaze. It is counting the rhythm of the breath. It is counting the microsignals that say, I will guard your sleep. Naomi Eisenberger's research points to a brutal truth. 1,000 weak ties do not silence the alarm. The anterior cingulate cortex is a lazy accountant. It only cares about a few specific variables. Who brings you soup when you are sick? Who fights the leopard with you? You can be surrounded by 10,000 people in a stadium and feel utterly hollow if that deep bond circuitry isn't lit up. In fact, the presence of so many strangers can make it worse. Your brain sees the mass of faces and recognizes that none of them are your designated protectors. That is not a party. That is a camouflage problem. You are a gazelle standing in the middle of a million other unknown gazelles. Safety in numbers, yes. But if the lion charges, no one is specifically committed to dragging you away. Your brain registers this as a high alert vulnerability. The wall of glass comes up not because you're broken, but because your threat detection is doing exactly what it evolved to do. There is a famous experiment known as the still face experiment. It was developed by the developmental psychologist Edward Tronick in the 1970s. A mother is told to interact with her baby, cooing and smiling. The baby laughs and points. Then the mother is told to turn away, and when she turns back, she must hold her face completely still. No expression, no reaction. The baby immediately detects this. The baby smiles, points, screeches, reaches out to try to trigger a response. When that fails, the baby collapses into withdrawal and physiological distress. In a matter of seconds, a human being who is perfectly safe, fed, and warm falls into a state of acute panic, simply because the emotional connection was switched off. That is you at the party. Your outer adult self is holding a drink. Your inner mammalian self is the baby in the still face experiment, frantically trying to sync up with a rhythm and finding nothing but a flat line. But what about the people who love the party? What about the extroverts? They are not immune to this machinery. They just have a different thermostat. The sensitivity of your loneliness alarm is partly heritable. Some brains are wired to be satisfied with a small bandwidth of deep connection. Other brains are wired to extract small hits of dopamine from a wide network. But the base code is the same. Nobody thrives on zero deep connection. The loudest extrovert in the room is still just seeking a reflection of themselves in someone else's eyes. They are still playing the ancient game of find the ally. Now look at your phone. Look at the text message that just lit up the screen. The notification triggers a tiny squirt of dopamine. It feels like connection, but it is a cheat code. It is empty calories. Your brain evolved to derive safety from the presence of a physical body, the sound of a voice, the smell of a known human. A pixelated heart on a screen is a symbol of a symbol of a symbol. It tricks the conscious mind, but the deep machinery of the anterior cingulate cortex remains hungry. This is why you can spend 4 hours scrolling and still feel hollow. You have fed your brain a diet of styrofoam. The loneliness alarm is still wailing, because there is no one in the room who can physically stand between you and danger. Why does this matter today more than ever? Because, for the first time in human history, we have engineered an environment that actively mimics the signals of social rejection. The read receipt you just received without a reply. The algorithm that shows your friends eating together without you. The camera that makes you compare your face to filtered versions of strangers. These are all microdoses of the cyberball experiment. Every day, you walk through a digital landscape that tells your mammalian brain you are on the outside, and your body responds accordingly. It elevates cortisol. It primes inflammation, chronic loneliness, as studied by the late neuroscientist John Cacioppo, doesn't just hurt your feelings. It corrodes your arteries. It wakes you up at 3 a.m. with your heart pounding. It accelerates cognitive decline. Your body is treating your social isolation like an open wound, because as far as your brain is concerned, it is one. So here you are, standing in that room. Music, laughter, bodies. The wall of glass feels impenetrable. But the name of that wall is not anxiety. The name of that wall is survival. Your brain is not weak for feeling this. It is incredibly powerful. It is scanning for safety. It is looking for one person, maybe 2 or 3, who will look at you the way a tribe member looks at a tribe member. It doesn't want 100 small talk partners. It wants the one person who knows what you're thinking just by the tilt of your head. The strange cure for loneliness is not more people. It is the right wavelength. It is one single other nervous system that syncs up with yours. Tonight, you'll stand in a crowded room. You'll feel the familiar glass wall. And now you'll know that this wall was built by ancestors who loved you enough to terrify you into staying close to the fire. The music will play. The laughter will bounce off the walls. And you will realize the loneliness was never a failure of your personality. It was a radar, desperately pinging through the noise, searching for the one sound that means you are finally safe.